Hello and welcome to this edition of FYI Weekly, your official source for City of Greensboro news and information. The Greensboro Public Library's Board of Trustees has approved a change in policy to eliminate fines for overdue books and materials. The new policy includes the forgiveness of outstanding fines. The elimination of fines is not unique to Greensboro, as library systems across the country are adopting this policy. In a 2019 resolution, the American Library Association stated the imposition of monetary library fines creates a barrier to the provision of library and information services. Library Director Bridget Blanton says since Greensboro Public Library serves as a conduit to destiny in the community, I am very excited to see this change in policy. Overdue fines are widely recognized as a form of social inequity, and that doesn't make sense for an institution with a mission to provide free and equal access to information. The change in policy also means Greensboro Public Library visitors will no longer be excluded from using computers due to outstanding fines. However, customers are still responsible for lost or damaged materials. This policy change is in line with initiatives taken by City Council and the City Manager's Office to address historical inequities. With actions to slow the spread of COVID-19 beginning to show results, Governor Roy Cooper is enhancing prevention measures by suspending the sale of alcoholic drinks in restaurants, breweries, wineries, and distilleries at 11 p.m. North Carolina bars currently closed under Executive Order 153 will remain closed. Governor Cooper said slowing the spread of this virus requires targeted strategies that help lower the risk of transmission. This will be particularly important as colleges and universities are scheduled to start, bringing people all over the country to our state. We have seen case numbers increase among younger people, and prevention is critical to slowing the spread of the virus. The executive order does not apply to grocery stores, convenience stores, or other entities permitted to sell alcohol for off-premises consumption. Local governments with orders suspending alcohol sales before 11 p.m. or orders that apply to other entities remain in effect. While North Carolina's COVID-19 numbers appear to be stabilizing, state health officials say they need more time to monitor the data and current levels of cases as hospitalizations remain high. In other COVID-19 news, the North Carolina League of Municipalities is asking residents to urge Congress to support direct financial assistance to cities and towns. The U.S. Senate released its proposal for a new round of additional COVID-19 relief, but the package does not include additional funds for state and local governments. Instead, the plan leaves cities and towns to fend for themselves when it comes to budget shortfalls caused by the pandemic. Residents are encouraged to contact their congressional representatives to remind them how sales tax and utility revenue streams have been harmed by the economic downturn and must be addressed in order for the economy to recover. The U.S. House approved a relief package with funds for municipalities. Therefore, it's important to encourage those congressional supporters to continue to stand strong with municipalities as negotiations begin. It's also necessary to let U.S. senators know flexibility for previously approved CARES Act dollars is not enough, being that North Carolina cities continue to be impacted by the pandemic and economic uncertainty remains. In an effort to help each of us improve our quality of life, the city developed a partnership with Cone Health to share a series of brief and informative videos designed to inspire you to make better choices when it comes to healthy living. Let's take a moment to check out today's news for your health.
How well do you really understand food labels? It's an important step in making healthy choices. Let's talk about what you should look for. The first thing you should look at in a nutrition food label is the serving size, because that's going to differ from the portion size. The nutrition serving size is based off of one serving of that food and beverage. You may eat more than one serving, and you'll have to account for that on the facts label as far as total calories, fat, all of those things. So the percent daily value, or capital D, capital V on the foods label, is going to be a guide for you as far as how much of one nutrient you should get per day. And that's based off a percentage out of 2,000 calories a day, which you may need more or less of, depending on your stature, activity level, things like that. As an example, if a food label has 5% daily value, that's going to be 5% of your needs of that nutrient per day. So when you're looking at the total fat in a product, you'd also want to go underneath that and look at the breakdown of the fat. So trans fat, saturated fat, and unsaturated fat. For saturated fat, or fats that are solid at room temperature, you'd really want to look to limit those, or again, have no more than 5% of your daily value for those foods. For trans fats, I'd really recommend avoiding foods that have trans fats. They're man-made, they're not natural, and really not something that you'd want to consume on a regular basis, whereas unsaturated fats are your healthy fats, and those are things that are helpful for your joints, for your brain health, and those are liquid at room temperature. So when you're looking for sugars on the nutrition fact label, you really want to focus in on those added sugars, because those added sugars are what you'd really want to limit or avoid. That doesn't provide any nutritional value in your diet, but does add up as far as your daily caloric allotment pretty quickly. You should definitely be looking at vitamins, minerals, and fiber that's listed on the facts label. Getting a variety of those types of nutrients is all really important for daily functioning, and also preventing illnesses, for anemia, osteoporosis, all those things you hear about that you get later in life. For daily fiber requirements, for adult males it should be somewhere around 37 grams per day, and adult females somewhere around 25 grams per day. And you can find those in any fruits, vegetables, or whole grains. And eating a variety of those foods, eating foods with color, making your plate colorful is all a really great way to make sure you're getting that variety. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this information has been helpful. If you're interested in more information, go to conehealth.com/healthyeating. I'm Lisa Balestrino.
The City of Greensboro is acknowledging opportunities to address racial inequities during this movement for social justice. We'll have that story and more news coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. The Greensboro City Council unanimously approved Juneteenth as a paid holiday for city employees. On Friday, June 18, 2021, the city will suspend regular operations to observe this important occasion in our nation's history. Most people believe President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freed all slaves. In reality, it was not until Union soldiers were able to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation that all black people in the South were freed. The Juneteenth holiday honors the date of June 19, 1865, when Union soldiers enforced the emancipation of slaves in Texas. The abolishment of slavery is a landmark event in civil rights history. Given Greensboro's connection to the civil rights movement, the city feels it is more than fitting to join the ever-growing list of governments and private employers recognizing Juneteenth as an official paid holiday. While slavery has been abolished, there continues to be significant gaps between whites and people of color in nearly every indicator of success. These gaps are seen in education, healthcare, life expectancy, home ownership, employment, and criminal justice. The City of Greensboro has accepted the challenge to play a major role in eliminating racial inequities. Adopting Juneteenth as a paid holiday is one example of the city's willingness to meet the challenge. The City of Greensboro has an interactive map available on the city's website to track neighborhood response to the U.S. Census. The interactive map is updated daily with response rates from the Federal Census Bureau. Each census tract is assigned a number and specific color on the map. Each color indicates the percentage of households in that tract that have completed the 2020 census. To determine which census tract you live in, simply type in your address in the box located at the top left corner of the map. To reveal the response rate for your area, click on the first icon at the top right corner of the map. Residents are encouraged to bookmark the link to the map and use social media to help spread the word about the census. Greensboro has done a great job responding to the census, but more action is needed to secure the city's share of federal funding for health care, education, housing, roads, and utility infrastructure. According to Make NC Count, the state could lose more than $16,000 in federal funding over a 10-year period for each resident who is not counted in the 2020 census. Construction on the downtown Greenway along Murrow Boulevard continues to make progress, visible from Gate City Boulevard to Fisher Avenue. Extensive work is underway at Murrow and the Smith Street Bridge due to major repairs that will be made to the bridge to prepare it for the installation of the Greenway Trail that will connect to Fisher Avenue. Completion is expected in October 2020. Original streetcar tracks and granite cobblestones were uncovered at the Summit Avenue Bridge going over Murrow Boulevard. Thanks to David Wharton and the Dunleith neighborhood, the cobblestones have been documented and preserved. The creative arts community has learned to pivot and adjust in these times of social distancing created by COVID-19. Coming up after the break, we'll check in with the city's chief creative officer to get a rundown of what his office has in store this summer. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. Creative Greensboro is the city's new department for arts and culture, managing many popular programs, including those formerly known as City Arts, the Music Center, and the Drama Center. Joining me now to tell us about the host of things taking shape in the arts community is Ryan Deal. He is the Chief Creative Officer of Creative Greensboro. Hello, Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Carla. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm so glad you could join me. We have been in the swirl of COVID-19, and each of our guests have been coming in and trying to tell us about how it's changed the scope of what you do. So how has creative arts community been operating within the realm of COVID-19?
Sure. Well, I think that really quickly we began to see creative organizations and even creative individuals make the pivot and the shift to online programming and virtual programming. I've been saying to folks lovingly that we've had a name for that all along, and it's film and television, which is a little different than what we typically think of as performing and visual art experiences that, most frequently are situated around human connection and human person-to-person experience. And so that being said, realities are what they are, and so folks have been thinking creatively and out of the box to bring those programs to life online. Some of them allow for really great engagement, others are just streaming content. One of the things that we did at Creative Greensboro early on, in partnership with our friends at Arts Greensboro, is develop a resource guide that we're calling the At-Home Arts and Creativity Guide. And we're posting it to our social media channels every Tuesday and Friday. And I just went and looked before you and I spoke today. The version on Tuesday is 11 pages long.
Wow.
Of virtual creative experiences, most of which that are being presented by Greensboro-based artists or organizations. So there's tons of opportunity for folks to stay creative, even though they may be staying at home or staying at the distance. And most of those programs are offered free of charge. Not all of them, but most of them. So opportunities abound.
Abound. 11 pages. That's impressive. And it's so nice to see everyone collaborating and being, like you said, resourceful, but also thinking outside the box. MUSEP is a very popular program, which also had to shift somewhat into the virtual world. How has the community responded to the virtual concert concept?
Sure. So MUSEP is now in its 41st season. I certainly can't take credit for any of that, just joining the city back in November. But we started planning for the season and decided we wanted to have a public call for artists and bands and musicians that would like to be a part of the series so that we could ensure that what we're offering to the community is a really beautifully diverse set of musical acts that are reflective of the varied interests across our community. We had nearly 100 submissions to the open call from bands and musicians that are Greensboro based. So that was fantastic. But as you said, we realized a couple months ago that we most likely could not be in the park, as the acronym might suggest. So we are still doing music on Sunday evenings, but we are actually live streaming those concerts from the Van Dyke Performance Space at the Greensboro Cultural Center. So we've done 2. We have 5 more to go. Those concerts are Sunday nights at 6 p.m. You can catch them on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/creativegreensboro. You actually do not need a Facebook account to view the content because our account is public. So you just go to that web address on Sunday nights and you can check us out. We had 37,000 folks join us for the first concert 2 weeks ago. Last weekend we had 38,000 folks join us. So I think the community is responding and saying
Very
that they
well,
love,
yes.
Greensboro loves its music and MUSEP.
I don't think we can get 37,000 people in the park.
That's right. Yeah, I think normally these concerts host somewhere between 200 and 500 folks. And we're seeing folks tune in from all across the country, but certainly a lot of folks from right here in Greensboro as well. And at last Sunday night's concert, which featured Knights of Soul and Sweet Dreams, I think two local favorite bands, the comment thread in particular is just beautiful. There were over 200 comments, folks cheering on the bands, offering kind words and accolades. And then I saw band members going back in and liking and loving the concert. So I'm glad to see that some of that community building and connection that's so important in person, we're finding a way to still make that happen online.
Wonderful. That's excellent. We're so glad to hear that, and I know that you just mentioned there's a few more concerts still to come. Now, the street mural program is another area where artists are being asked to show us what you can do. Tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Sure. So we, in partnership with our friends in the Department of Transportation, launched a pilot street mural initiative probably, 2 months ago at this point, offering the opportunity for artists to give voice through creative expression through murals painted onto city-owned streets. Honestly, it was a response to a couple things that were happening simultaneously. We're seeing this cultural movement in cities all across the world that I think are a combination of folks wrestling with COVID-19 related restrictions that mean we can't be in galleries as we normally would, but also an acknowledgement of the social unrest that's due to racial injustices. And so folks are looking for opportunities to give voice to those calls for justice and equality through creativity. So we launched this program. We received 3 applications during the pilot initiative. We did approve all 3 of those. The first one was from an artist, Philip Marsh, and that mural is titled One Love, and it is on Davie Street in front of the Greensboro Cultural Center. The second mural, titled Black Lives Matter, actually has 14 artists involved in it, but the 2 lead artists on that were Leo Rucker and Rashida Schenkel, and it is on Elm Street between Washington and February 1. And then the third mural is titled Say It Loud, and it was led, there were also a lot of artists involved in it, but the 2 leaders on that were Shala Harper and Sunny Gravely Fouché, and that mural is on Lindsay Street between Cumberland and Beach. And so the response to that has been fantastic. We have pushed the pause button on that program just momentarily so that we can reflect on the things that have gone really well, the places where we've had a couple challenges, and we want to make sure that the mural program is linked really tightly to the cultural plan, which directs the work of my office. And so we will be back out with the mural initiative in the not so distant future, so folks could keep an eye on that. And we look forward to more opportunities for artists to get involved with bringing the public spaces throughout Greensboro to life.
Yes, and Greensboro is known for its artistry, and we've seen sculptures and other murals that have kind of organically popped up in interesting places and alongside buildings, so it's nice to see that the streets have been included. And overall, would you say that the arts community in this climate of COVID-19 is assuming a responsibility for unifying our community?
That is a great question, Carla. I would say that the arts community has always looked at itself as a unifying agent, but I think that folks are leaning into that role a bit more with our current reality. So we see organizations and artists thinking a bit differently, acting a bit differently, offering different sorts of contributions. You know, where the visual and performing arts and come into play is when words and language stop being able to function, and we need something that's a bit more, that speaks to people at a deeper level. And so, yes, I think absolutely that's a core function of arts and culture, and we see folks thinking creatively about how to continue to do that in new and different ways, and I'm sure there's more fantastic work ahead.
Well, you're doing a great job as our first Chief Creative Officer. Welcome again to the fold, and we're so glad to have you here.
Thanks, Carla.
Do come back and see us and share some of the other things that are happening in the creative arts world.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Likewise.
Stay tuned for some useful information about Greensboro as we tell you something about the city. That's coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. One way to stay informed about decisions that impact our city is by attending or tuning in to City Council meetings at 5:30 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of the month. The fourth Tuesday is reserved for a meeting as needed. Due to COVID-19, the City Council is meeting virtually. The Greensboro City Council meetings are broadcast right here on GTN. The meetings are also streamed live on the city's website and on Roku. City Council meetings usually take place on Level 2 of the Melvin Municipal Office Building located at 300 West Washington Street. To review the council meeting schedule and agendas, please visit the city's website. Here's an opportunity to learn a little something about the city. Residents whose jobs have been sidelined by the coronavirus will be able to visit the NC Works Career Centers. The facilities in Greensboro and High Point have reopened to the public. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Fridays. Walk-in customers can receive staff assistance and access to the Computer Resource Center. Customers are required to wear a face cover in order to enter the buildings and access the employment services. COVID-19 precautions are in place, such as allowing a reduced number of people in each center, plus adding plexiglass to workstations. The Greensboro NC Works Career Center is located at 2301 West Meadowview Road. The High Point Center is located at 607 Idle Street. Coming up after the break, we'll showcase our department spotlight, but first we have an important message regarding COVID-19.
Remember the 3 W's. Wear a cloth face mask covering, wait 6 feet from others, and wash your hands often. By working together, we can adjust to this new normal and continue to save lives.
Welcome back. The City of Greensboro has more than 20 departments and several divisions committed to serving you, our residents and visitors. Let's go behind the scenes in our department spotlight. The Parks and Recreation staff is partnering with the Piedmont Fat Tire Society to host a mountain bike skills clinic for beginners. The clinic will take place from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday, August 15th. Participants will gather at the Keeley Park Pump Track. All ages are welcome, but space is limited. Registration is required for a 30-minute session. Learn to ride the pump track's rollers and improve your mountain biking skills. The clinic is a great opportunity to take a ride on Keeley Park's new beginner mountain bike trail. Bring your bike, helmet, and pads, as no equipment will be provided. While participants play, watch, or wait their turn, they must stay 6 feet from anyone who does not live in their household. Spectators are also recommended to wear a face covering. The Keeley Park Pump Track is located at 4100 Keeley Road. For a full list of other summer activities, visit the city's website. Straight ahead on the other side of the break is this week's Way to Go GSO shout out. Stay with us. As we draw to a close, we always want to end on a positive note with our Way to Go GSO shout out. This week's shout out goes to the City of Greensboro. The U.S. Green Building Council completed its review of the City of Greensboro's application for certification in the LEED for Cities program. Greensboro has achieved the highly coveted LEED Silver level. This achievement recognizes the many outstanding steps Greensboro currently takes to promote environmental sustainability, social equity, and economic resilience. Staff representing more than 17 city departments, along with members of several community groups, work together to compile and format the exhaustive amount of information required to complete the application. Way to go, GSO. Please remember, as more places continue to open, wear your face covering, wait 6 feet apart, and wash your hands often. That concludes this edition of FYI Weekly, but you can easily stay connected to the latest city news by linking to us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Alexa users can subscribe to our 5-minute flash briefings. Be sure to download our weekly podcast, Talk City Greensboro, and now GTN is streaming on Roku. For all of us here at the City of Greensboro, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.